This meeting is being held in compliance with the Brown Act. SCAG offices are open for members of the public to attend and participate in person. Instructions for providing public comment have been provided in advance and are also included in the agenda packet. Members of the public participating remotely should ensure their microphone is muted when not in use. Any member of the public calling into this meeting by telephone can press *6 to mute and unmute. All telephone participants should identify themselves prior to speaking. SCAG encourages all members of the public to participate in its meetings. We are committed to holding meetings accessible to people with disabilities. For members of the public requiring ADA accommodation, please call 213-630-1410. SCAG offers free interpretation services for members of the public needing information in another language. Please call 213-236-1895.
Great. Well, good morning. Welcome. It's so great to be here this morning. Our president, Kirk Hagman, is on his way. Today is Thursday, November 7th. Just to ensure that we have a quorum and all the members that are present, please insert your cards into the communicator keypad, and that should be right there where you're sitting. The meeting of the Executive Administration Committee is now called to order. Can I ask Member Art Brown to say the Pledge of Allegiance?
Monday is Veterans Day and November 10th is very important birthday. Please join me.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Hoorah!
Thank you, Art. Just to confirm, we have a quorum.
Madam Vice President, we do have the quorum.
Awesome. I'd now like to open the public comment period for this meeting. Do we have any public comments?
We have not received any public comments.
Okay. Do we have any members of the public that would like to speak? That are here?
Don't see any.
Okay. All right. So I will close the public comment period for matters not listed on the agenda. And now we will go to information item number 1. And so I will call on Comey, our Executive Director, to present the item.
Thank you, Madam Vice President. Good morning, members of the EAC. The 2028 Olympics and the Paralympic Games in Los Angeles will include more than 800 events at 75 venues, bringing athletes, spectators, and attention of the world to Southern California. In anticipation of this historic event, SCAG has been working in partnership with LA28, the LA Metro, Caltrans, the Los Angeles Department of Transportation, Metrolink, as well as the Los Angeles Mayor's Office, a group that's collectively known as the Games Mobility Executive, or GME. And the work of that group is to develop mobility plans and pursue state and federal funds for transportation infrastructure and mobility resources before, during, and after the Games. Now, with a focus on transit and a commitment to sustainability and climate action, the Los Angeles Mayor, Karen Bass, has called for the 28 Games to be car-free, providing a generational opportunity for us to reimagine mobility in Southern California from our perspective. Considering our purview and expertise at SCAG, we are looking at 3 foundational roles in preparation for the 2028 Games. The first is convening partners at the regional level, which we do routinely. The second is to bring in and administer funds and resources that are needed for preparation for the Games and administering the Games. And the third is to develop a regional transportation demand management approach, which we refer to as a TDM. The TDM approach have been instrumental in the successes of past games, including the 1984 games in Los Angeles. There is a tremendous need and opportunity for us to influence and manage travel behavior, complementary to efforts to improve infrastructure and transit. To support this effort, we are planning to begin pursuing some preliminary engagement with local jurisdictions, which includes stakeholder workshops with the freight industry and the supply chain industry. From this data, we will begin building a regional approach that includes development of a regional TDM strategy that aligns with the vision of a car-free games. Development of a suite of regional initiatives to provide resources to local jurisdictions and transit agencies to support implementation of that strategy. We also are looking at the promotion of transportation system improvements that support games mobility, that also align with demand management strategies that can effect enduring mode shift in Southern California. Our next step is to continue working with the GME and to prepare a draft program development framework for the EAC's discussion and recommendation to the Regional Council. We are honored today to have the Los Angeles mayor here. Mayor Bass has joined us, a member of this committee. And just last month, Mayor Bass hosted an after-action summit with officials of the city of Paris to share lessons learned from the 2024 games last summer. And we thank her for inviting this committee and SCAG staff to participate in that event. It is my honor now to introduce the mayor of Los Angeles, Mayor Karen Bass, to highlight more about the work she's leading in the city and in the region to host the successful 2028 games. Madam Mayor.
Thank you. Thank you very much for the introduction and invitation to speak. And also, this is my first in-person meeting. I was on Zoom earlier, but I really look forward to being active with SCAG and all that we can do with all of the regional events coming into play. So, of course, we have the Olympics in 2028, but let me just take a minute to talk about what we have before then, because we have the World Cup in what I feel is a year from now, because I feel like it's already 2025. So 2026 brings in the World Cup. 8 games will be played physically in Inglewood, but that will impact all of our region. And the games last for 40 days. So just thinking about all of your areas and watch parties and all of that happen, you don't have to physically have a game in your area to not be able to take advantage in a way that we saw in Paris. I went the first time in March to see what they were doing to prepare. And I think I have spoken to the group since then, but I'll just remind you that what was so wonderful was the mayor of Paris just opened up the doors of City Hall and was very, very supportive. And that was when I asked her, because I was so impressed. I said, after the games, would you please send your staff to LA? And she said, yes. And she did. And she sent that whole delegation. I will tell you that it was not at any cost to us, which is extra, the fact that she was willing to do that. But I think one of the things that was the most exciting about the Paris, and I did go 3 other times, I went to the opening, the closing, and the closing of the Paralympics, was the way the Olympics impacted the whole area. And probably 5% of the people maybe attended a game, but you felt like the entire city was involved. And I'm sure some of you were able to go and see that as well. And so to me, it shows what we can do with this and the way the entire region can be involved. So a few things that we saw, there were what was called activations. So in areas where there weren't games, thousands of people were there either for watch parties or there were physical activities, sporting activities for young people to participate in, but there was a way that everybody got involved. And certainly for me, when I think about the Olympics coming here, wanting to know how all of our areas benefit economically. And it's an opportunity for our small businesses. We did a business summit a few weeks ago with small businesses that are interested in procurement opportunities, and 1,500 businesses showed up. And so there's a lot of interest in that. And I do think that that's a way for everybody to participate. Another thing that we saw in Paris was country houses. So, for example, there was one area that was considered an African village, and it was a large geographic area. And in there were tents representing different countries, or there was something representing Mongolia. And you go to that house, and there was food and music and the culture of Mongolia. And I think that that's another way for people to participate. And you mentioned transportation, and I have been quoted a lot about car free, and unfortunately some reporters reported it as though cars would be banned in LA during the Olympics, and that is not what the references to. I'm sure everybody here knows the point was public transportation, using public transportation to get to the venues. And then for those of us that were around in '84, everybody was concerned about traffic, and we thought it was going to be this traffic nightmare, and it was some of the best times in the city. Why? Because Mayor Bradley coordinated with businesses, and they stagnated when they staggered when trucks would be delivering. For example, deliveries were only made in the evening. And so we didn't have any of the technology then that we have now. We all collectively went through COVID. And so I do think there's ways that we can use the technology of today, use remote work. I will tell you, when we had the Dodger celebration last week, and we had 220,000 people downtown LA. The day before, I made an announcement calling on businesses in the area, stay home, remote work. We all know how to do that now. And we can certainly do those kind of things there. So I just look forward to working with you all. I know that this is an opportunity to really bring our whole region together. And I look forward to doing that, and any opportunity of any other resources or information that comes from Paris or the IOC, we'll look forward to sharing with you. We all know that the only way to do this is for all of us to be together on every level of government, local, county, state, region, and federal government, to all work together to do this. So I look forward to working with you.
Well, thank you so much, Mayor Bass, for being here. It really is an honor to have you here. So thank you.
It's an honor to be here.
Okay, so we're gonna go ahead and go to any public comment or speakers. So do we have anyone? And we're gonna start with the in-person folks first. So anyone here have any questions? Go ahead, Wendy Buckman.
Public comment.
Oh, sorry. All right, sorry about that. My bad. Online public comment first.
Don't see any raised hands.
Okay. All right. So anybody here? No, anybody public comment here in person in the room? Okay, I don't see any. All right, there we go. Wendy, you're up.
Thank you. Just wanted to thank you, Comey and Mayor Bass, for your comments. And Comey, I'm assuming that we're going to have our transportation subcommittee be part of the discussions on this whole planning. And I'm so excited that we're involved. And so I know you mentioned that we're going to be involved, but I just want to make sure our subcommittee, which I'm assuming we would. Thank you.
Yeah, we're working on what the appropriate level of conversation is. I think that, like the mayor said, this is going to be a regional conversation.
Mm-hmm.
The games venues are dispersed in different places, but the games will have effect across the region. If nothing, just how the rest of us move while folks are here watching and participating in the games, and how goods and services are delivered. All of those have to be implicated, and that's the work that we are looking to lead as part of the GME. And our expectation is we will come regularly back to both the EAC and the RC and the various committees at SCAG to have those conversations.
Thank you. I appreciate it. And I appreciate the regional aspect, being from down there in Mission Viejo, where we have a little bit of Olympic history. We're excited about the game. So thank you.
Okay, Lucy.
As the business representative for SCAG, we're very excited, the business community. And is there I know BizFed LA, LA Chamber, they're all working with you. Is there a point person to engage on the regional business level for other groups, or should we work with our with our LA partners? Who's the business contact?
That's a very good question. I certainly have a deputy mayor for business and economic development, Rachel Freeman. I'm happy to make sure she comes here and participates
Great.
in a meeting. Because all of the business organizations come together, I would see it more as BizFed, but the chamber is also very, very active, and I know as a member.
Great.
So I think we all have to, number one, figure out how the procurement process, how we can directly participate. And then, of course, in some of our areas where it's not an issue of procurement with LA 28, but we have our own events, and that would be internal to, your various cities. But I think we all need to have a strategy on how we economically benefit from this.
Great.
Olympics has a history of having the reverse effect. But the last time we had it here in 84, not only did the games make a profit, but 40 years later, we're still benefiting from them. And to me, that's the vision and goal we have to have.
Awesome. Thank you.
Good morning, Madam Mayor. Sorry I'm late. Hi, Karen.
All right, I don't see any other comments from any of the EAC members. So thank you very much for those. And we will go on to item number 2.
So just before we wrap it up, we're going to have another follow-up briefing at the RC on the Olympics. And so there's further conversation. This is really to continue to make sure that the rest of the regional council is informed about what activities are to look forward to, and especially understanding that we have a role at SCAG, and we want to make sure that you are aware of what that is, and we'll come back to both the EAC and the RC on a regular basis. So we'll have another conversation at the RC with a presentation by LA 28 and as well, and the city of LA. Thank you.
That's it for 2?
No, 1.
Oh, 1. Okay.
1.
So we're going to item 2, which,
REAP 2.0.
yeah, who's doing REAP 2.0? Sarah, sorry. Pages.
Good morning, President, members of the committee. Sarah Jepson. I'm the Chief Planning Officer here at SCAG. I'm just going to share a brief update with you on our REAP 2.0 program, and want to draw your attention to page 10 of your packet, where there are many more details. This program is benefiting many of the cities across the region, so we do get a lot of questions on the status, and so I just encourage you to share this information with your teams as we're working very hard collectively to get the program restarted. As you are aware, and thanks to the great advocacy of the Regional Council, our funding for REAP 2.0 was largely restored with the final budget this year. The budget for the program is $231.5 million to implement about 6 different programs that we put together to support the implementation of Connect SoCal. This is $14.5 million reduction from our original budget. However, based off of your direction, we have prioritized the resources that we do have and are able to fund all of our sub-allocation programs, those that were formula-based and those that were projects that were selected through our competitive programs. So the work to restart all of those projects is underway. Also, good news to share that we had a couple regional programs that were also funded through REAP 2.0 that we were able to fund in other parts of our budget, so that the full program that the board has approved, we are now able to move forward with. And some of those changes on the budget are reflected in the amendment, which you will also consider here today. A few other things I wanted to highlight from the packet. The challenge of the budget reduction also delayed our work in getting the program started. This last month, we were able to have some really good conversations with HCD, the Housing and Community Development Department at the state, and they've made some administrative changes that have allowed us to extend the expenditure deadline for the program. So essentially what that has meant is that those agencies that we have awarded funding to have about another 8 months to spend their resources. So that is going to be a great benefit to the region and the program as we work to move forward. We are also working on with our legislative team on trying to get a little bit more time to implement the program and expect to have more updates on that very soon. We're working with the MPOs across the state and with CalCog, as many of our other regions are looking to make sure we have the appropriate amount of time to implement the program. The packet also mentions some things that we're doing on the administrative side, just to streamline our work processes here so we can get dollars to communities as quickly as possible. And as I mentioned, there's many more details on each of the individual programs that are supported through REAP in the packet and our status of delivering projects. Please take a look there, and I am happy to answer any questions you may have.
Thank you, Sarah. Great job. I mean, we were basically planning not to have any of this dollars, and we advocated and got the money back. Then he said he got to spend it all really quick. So to get the extension is really wonderful work by you and your team. So thank you for working behind the scenes to make that happen. And we got to take a little shave off what we got, but what a great outcome compared to what it was 9 months ago. So good job. Any public comments on this item? Any comments from our EAC committee members? If not, this is receive and file. We'll move on to item number 3. We're going to ask Cindy to present the budget amendment.
Good morning, and thank you, Cindy Giraldo, Chief Financial Officer. Before you for approval is Budget Amendment 1 to our fiscal year 25 budget. In total, this amendment increases our budget by just under $31 million. Table 1 of the staff report before you breaks down the change in our budget by funding source with details explaining each change following the table. I won't go through each line item, but I would like to highlight some of the larger items that have been included. There is $6.3 million funding increase in our consolidated planning grant revenues. This is based on our annual reconciliation letter that we received from Caltrans. The budget amendment also includes 4 new grants totaling $3.3 million, 2 from the Office of Traffic Safety and 2 from Caltrans Sustainable Transportation Planning grants. So that's great news. We have a net increase in our REAP 1 and REAP 2 budgets of $13.8 million. This is the combination of the increase in budget to carry over unspent balances from the prior year due to the pause in our REAP 2 program, offset by the $14.5 million reduction in our REAP 2 allocation from HCD. To absorb the reduced funding, as Ms. Jepson pointed out just a few minutes ago, the sub-allocation programs were prioritized, and the Regional Pilot Initiatives program, which was originally going to be funded with REAP funding, has now been moved to the carbon reduction program funding. Which brings me to the next increase. There is a $1.9 million increase in our CRP funding, carbon reduction program funding, to begin work on our Regional Pilot Initiatives program. Last but not least, there is $2.4 million of congestion mitigation and air quality funding and $1.5 million of surface transportation block grant funding that has been allocated to programming efforts and projects to support the 2028 Olympic and Paralympic Games. So some exciting work ahead in that area as well. So I said I wasn't going to go through all of the changes, but with all of that combined, I've covered just over $29 million of the under $31 million in increase. So I guess in some ways I did kind of go over it all. The balance is being predominantly attributable to grant carryover adjustments when grant work carries over from one year to the next. Moving on to our indirect cost budget. SCAG has been doing some midterm and longer term financial planning in preparation for a return to more, normal funding levels in a post-REAP world. As part of that effort, SCAG completed a zero-based funding exercise for our indirect cost budget and identified nearly $1 million of annual budget savings within that budget. The reduction of our indirect cost budget is also have been included in this budget amendment. SCAG is always looking at its staffing levels and classifications in order to successfully position us for the execution of our ambitious programs. To that end, this budget amendment includes 3 staffing related items that I would like to point out. First, there are 28 staffing changes detailed for you in attachment 3 or page 31 of your packet within the staff report. But all said and done, these staffing changes net to no increase in our current staffing levels and have a net budget savings of just under $550,000. Secondly, a junior planner classification has been added to the salary schedule, which has been included as attachment 4 or page 32 of your packet. This new classification is intended to be a rotational cohort program for entry-level planning professionals. So a wonderful new program that we hope to kind of lift off its feet. Finally, this report is requesting the delegation of authority to our executive director to hire limited term staff as operationally required in order to implement future grant awards. This is essentially extending the authority that was already granted for the REAP program to future grant awards. Staff will, of course, report and include any such limited term staffing changes in our next budget amendment to this board and to the regional council. That concludes my summary of Budget Amendment 1, and I'm happy to answer any questions. Thank you.
Thank you. Karen's said the city of LA is going to donate 20 million for staffing for the Olympics as well. Any contribution will be helpful. Thank you. A lot of good things. And I think one thing to note that we went over is this hiring, because there's a lot of grants coming. We all say that local government, lots of opportunities out there to get money for projects. For them to come back each time for a budget amendment would slow the process down. A lot of these have really tight timelines. So we are going to get the reports back as they come in. They'll be based on if we receive other grants to do other things, including the donation from the city of LA. But I think it's a right way for us to go to get a lot of flexibility for the team to keep moving on with other things. So any other comments on this? Any public comments? If not, I'm going to remind you all, because I forgot to put a little card back in, and we're going to open this item up for voting.
Ron moves.
Yeah, thank you.
Second.
Yeah, motion and second. We'll do the little voting thing.
Mr. President, I still haven't started the voting. I just wanted to make that note.
Kind of let. Thank you.
I'll allow a few more
Thank you.
seconds, Mr. President.
It's been a while.
I'll proceed to stop the vote now, Mr. President.
Thank you, Maggie.
And the motion passes with 14 votes yes, 0 votes no, and 0 abstentions.
Great, we're going to move on to the consent agenda, which is items, I believe, 4 through 14. 14, is that correct? And on number 11, it's not really an action item, it's just an FYI. Does anybody need to pull any item off consent agendas? Is it? Yeah, Lucy.
Just a little more information on item 11, I think would be helpful. Next steps, that kind of thing.
Okay, I'll have Sarah address that after we do the rest of the balance. But it's not an action item, so I'm just going to leave it on there. And then we'll have Sarah talk about that. Any public comments on the consent agenda? Entertain a motion.
Shapiro move the item.
Yeah, Shapiro Marquez, thank you. And Maggie, when you're ready.
I have started the voting, Mr. President.
Really?
Mine still says for receive.
I already voted.
If you still have it on the previous
Oh.
vote, you can press X to clear that,
F,
and then you can cast your vote.
X.
X.
Yeah, X.
Okay, no kidding. Okay.
Okay, that one.
Which one to clear it?
Down here,
Oh, here.
just the traditional bill.
Ah. Okay,
There you go.
go ahead. That was a quick vote.
We'll allow a few more seconds, Mr. President. And I'll proceed to stop the voting and display the results. The motion for the consent calendar passes with 12 votes yes, 0 votes no, and 0 abstentions.
Sarah, did you want to address item 11? Or was it? Yeah.
Yeah.
Item 11, please.
Yes, I'm happy to. So this item is on Senate Bill SB 375. in our joint MPO letter to CARB, addressing some changes that we are hoping to make within the program. So as way of background, as you know, every 4 years we develop Connect SoCal, our RTP SCS, our Regional Transportation Plan and Sustainable Community Strategy. And for that plan, as required by SB 375, we're required to show how we will achieve a greenhouse gas reduction target that is set for us by the Air Resources Board. We're currently have submitted our last plan to the Air Resources Board and are waiting for their approval. And that approval is important because it ensures that we have access to certain state transportation funds. So as part of the process, the target gets updated by the Air Resources Board. And they were set to, or are working on a process right now to initiate the resetting of the target. We, along with the other big 4 MPOs, asked that CARB pause their process and take a little bit more time to talk about what's changed within SB 375 since the bill was passed more than 10 years ago, and to think about any changes to the framework that might make it more effective. In particular, we feel like we developed great plans. We spend a lot of time analyzing them and going back and forth on details and assumptions, et cetera. The place we have not been quite as successful is on the implementation and making sure both the state and the regions are moving forward collectively to implement the plans. So we thought, kind of in advance of this next target setting process, that we should take a little bit more time and revisit the full framework. The other thing I just want to highlight with SB 375 is the Big 4 are very much supportive of the overall program. We have seen great value in this region, I think across the state, in integrating land use and transportation planning. So we want to emphasize that our aims here are to make this program stronger and more effective for the region. So we did submit the letter to the Air Resources Board asking for this pause. They are concerned about their legislative requirements and have said that they can't accommodate the pause. But they are willing to have more conversations with the metropolitan planning organizations and the other state agencies to think a little bit more about the framework and some changes that can be made. So we have initiated those conversations. The California Caltrans is involved, the California Transportation Commission, Housing and Community Development, because RENA and housing requirements are also now a big part of our SCS and the way we deliver our plan. So we have just started those conversations at a staff level and are hoping to make some progress there. Also keeping the door open to potential legislative changes down the road, should that be an effective route as well. So I'd say that's where we are. Maybe a little bit more context for that report and our kind of collective efforts with the other metropolitan planning organizations to maybe set a new path for our work on SB 375.
Thank you. You want to follow up on that?
Thank you. And thank you for that update. And when we look at SB 375, and it's nice that we might change or at least adjust and shift some of how we get there. It makes me think of like CEQA and redevelopment agencies, and the whole process needs to be updated and refined. It needs to be brought current. So hopefully we'll be able to look at this and take something that is, how old is it? At least 10 years old, and make it relevant to today rather than just what our goals are. It's how we get there that I think is most important. So I hope at some point we get to that place where we're all changing to make it current and relevant to today.
That's good. Thank you for that update. We're gonna move on to the next item.
Mr. President, I apologize for interrupting. Could I do one housekeeping item?
Sure.
I understand that 2 votes were not recorded on the system. Members Crosswhite and Shapiro, I believe, intended to vote, and we only showed 12 votes. So I think we're all getting sort of used to the bugs out on coming back to the old system. So with your permission, can the clerk record those 2 votes in favor, I'm assuming?
How about, yeah, you guys,
It said we voted.
It didn't show up on the, yep.
So you guys are
Sir,
both,
just confirming it's a yes for the consent calendar. Thank you so much.
Yes, thank you so much. And as well, I'm added just one more, just to remind folks, the best way to get the chair's attention is to put your name card up so that he will see you and recognize you. Thank you.
thank you, Ruben. We're gonna move on to Cindy for our CFO report.
Thank you. For this CFO report, I would just like to quickly highlight that this month's report on page 115 of your agenda packet includes some great highlights prepared by our Chief Planning Officer of some projects that were completed this past quarter. So please be sure to check that out. The report also includes our quarterly finance reports for the first quarter of our current fiscal year. And I would be terribly remiss if I did not mention a major milestone for this agency. I'm very happy to report that all REAP 1 projects are complete. Staff is busy collecting final deliverables. Our final report is due to HCD just a little bit later this month, so that is definitely something to celebrate. It's important to remember that REAP 1 was one of the larger programs in SCAG's history, if not the larger program, of course, until we got REAP the sequel, which is 5 times as ambitious in every way. But that is not to take away from the work that was accomplished through this board, the staff, and of course our grantees in REAP 1. So definitely something that we want to take a moment and celebrate. There will be a report on the REAP 1 programs in our CEHD Policy Committee meeting, the Community Economic and Human Development Committee next month. So that is something to look forward to. Thank you. That concludes my report.
Thank you. Have any questions for our report? No. Great job. We'll go to the President's report. I just want to give a couple updates. The Economic Summit update. We normally have that every year, but it's going to be different this year. Due to scheduling conflicts and with multiple holidays, we will not have our traditional Southern California Economic Summit. However, we'll be still bringing you the annual regional economic report by making the 2024 Southern California Economic Update an item at the Regional Council's December 5th meeting. So we'll get our little books then. This item will include SCAG's annual economic reporting and analysis, as well as near-term outlook for SCAG Economic Roundtable. The update will present a detailed economic outlook for the region, highlighting the growth sectors such as goods movement, healthcare, and tourism will drive the economy in this coming year. We also have time for in-depth discussion on the state of the economy among regional council members. So we hope to see you all next month. The General Assembly called for sponsors. Speaking of events, plans, and thank you, Ray. I know you've been taking a big job at this. Plans for the General Assembly are already starting to take shape. SCAG will host a 2025 regional conference in General Assembly on May 1st and 2nd at the JW Marriott Desert Springs Resort and Spa in Palm Springs Desert. This is the 60th annual regional conference in General Assembly. The event's Diamond's anniversary. Thank you for the Regional Council. Second Vice President Ray Marquez will be heading up our General Assembly Host Committee. And I know he's been bugging me already for people on it, so I know you're making your calls. So he's going to set a new record. I know that. He has chosen a great slate of nominees to help him reach an ambitious sponsorship goal. We will be reaching out soon to nominees to get their committee set up. In the meantime, if you are interested in becoming an event sponsor or have questions about the sponsorship, Perla, where's Perla? Stand up. This is her favorite event every year. They work so hard at this every time. And by the end of it, they probably should get a longer vacation, Comey, because it's a lot of work. But she's go see her if you want any more information. But her and her team do a fantastic job. And as a reminder, we don't have our next EAC meeting is December 5th here at 9 a.m. That's all the updates I have. Comey, I'll turn over to you for the Executive Director's report.
Thank you, Mr. President. Speaking of housing, you heard the excellent report that Sarah Jepson just tendered about the REAP program and the fact that we're back on track. We're looking forward to working with all of our jurisdictions on project MOUs. I know one of the issues that has come up recurrently is the pace of getting the MOUs done. We have 100 projects that we're trying to get out. With the delay. There's a clog in the process, but we have to do the due diligence. The MOUs are legal documents, and one of the things that we found is when we send folks MOUs, somehow they don't really accept it on face value. They want changes to it, and We thought the MOU was perfect when we sent it out to them, but usually comes back with a lot of changes, and that requires us to then process those legal documents, and there's back and forth, and that creates a little bit of churn in the process. So
It's
again,
all the attorney's fault, Ruben.
we all have attorneys on all sides. But I think it's all in good measure. We are doing our level best to get those projects started, because we need to begin to have those funds flow. One of the things you will find is that we've also created avenues for getting projects initiated and started as quickly as possible, where there are letters of no prejudice that can be had if an agency is willing to take the risk up front to then get started once they clear the gate of verification on the scope and the risk assessment. So I just want to, because I know several of you have mentioned to me about your agencies complaining about the pace of the MOU authorizations. This afternoon, we're going to have a presentation by the Deputy Secretary for Housing for Homelessness, Ms. Dashika Wikruma, from the California Business, Consumer Services, and Housing Agency. This is in pursuit of our ongoing effort to strengthen partnerships to create opportunities for housing production and sustainable communities in our region. Ms. Wikruma has 15 years of experience in addressing homelessness in the public, private, and nonprofit sectors. She has experience from our region, having worked in the city of LA and also at the county level. And so we're looking forward to that presentation at the Regional Council this afternoon. One item I had to report on was going to be the SB 375 letter that Sarah has already touched on, so I'm not going to cover it. But I just want to add that the big four that was referred to are the largest four MPOs in the region, in the state, and the letter is on page 96 of your package. That letter was sent by the four of us to cause a pause in the process, because we truly feel like, with good intentions, we can really address the necessary changes to 375. And by the way, the big four MPOs cover about 80% of the population of the state. Even though we have 18 MPOs in the state, we felt like we had a place to ask for this. And subsequently, all the other MPOs they had the same issues with 375, and so it was not a problem representing them, and they're all coming to the table for this conversation as well. So we're encouraged by, even though the pause was not agreed to, we're encouraged by some of the progress we're having in terms of a task force that was created that Sarah mentioned, that has state agencies and MPOs involved in talking about this. The last item I have is we have a mobility workshop on November 22nd. Please remember to save the date and register for an exclusive tour of this SoCal Gas hydrogen home located in Downey. This is on Friday, November 22nd from 9 a.m. to 1 p.m. The Hydrogen Innovation Experience is North America's first clean, renewable hydrogen-powered microgrid home. And it's something we want to showcase and have everybody, as many as can be there, understand how this was put together and what the opportunities might be across our region. Attendees will tour the innovative project, which demonstrates the important role of hydrogen in helping the state achieve its carbon neutrality goals. So please, if you're looking forward to or planning to join us, send your RSVPs to Eric Rodriguez. Is Eric here? Okay. Well, let me know, and I'll let Eric know that you're interested in going. That's all I have, Mr. President.
Thank you, Comey. Any future items that the EAC would like to see? I want to thank Mayor Bass for spending your valuable time with us this morning. And I gave her a call and said, hey, can you possibly come on this committee? And she said, yes. And it's nice to actually have the mayor here. So thank you. With that, let's see no other announcements. Any comments from our members? We'll be adjourned. Thank you.